Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and this is the channel where I went to business school so you didn't need to, and today we are talking about Palantir Technologies PLTR stock. In this video, we will be analyzing 3 articles, which are all amazing, so make sure to stay all the way into the end. The first article we're going to be analyzing today is called PLTR Stock. Controversial UK contract brings new red flags for Palantir. So clearly, we're going to be discussing how this has impacted their overall long-term growth trajectory, as well as how Palantir is going to pull through this overall volatility, even though watchdog groups and politics are getting in the way of them landing more contracts. After that, we're going to be discussing where Palantir Technologies stock could be in the next 5 years. So we're going to be going over their price targets not only for this year and over the next 12 months, but also where this company could be in the next 5 years and how high that share price could be. Lastly, we're going to round out this video talking about why November specifically could be a huge month for Palantir stock because we have multiple catalysts which could send the shares flying upwards, which would include their earnings report as well as the inclusion in the S&P 500 and other metrics like that. So if you want more fundamental analysis, price target predictions, upcoming catalysts, and general news updates about Palantir Technologies, don't forget to go and annihilate that like button right now, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe if you are new, and with that being said, let's jump right into today's stories. As you already know, Palantir Technologies is a big data and analytics company which serves both commercial enterprises as well as government agencies, and this company specifically focuses and specializes in artificial intelligence as well as machine learning. However, first, let's dig up some dirt about Palantir Technologies pertaining to why a watchdog group is trying to limit Palantir's ability to win contracts over in the United Kingdom. Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR, has been a stock which has been in focus for quite a while now, and recently there was a publication by the Financial Times detailing how the NAO, also known as the National Audit Office, had a report on them. And the NAO, which is a UK public spending watchdog, believes that Palantir was rewarded a contract pertaining to finding homes for Ukraine refugees in the UK, did not go through the right processes and procedures before this award was given to Palantir. So this watchdog group noted that the United Kingdom government awarded Palantir the contract very quickly without following and conducting their quote-unquote normal competitive procurement process. So essentially they're saying that Palantir got this contract too fast without other institutions being considered for this contract. However, I would like to point out that this may have been done in order to quickly support the 100,000 plus refugees that were leaving Ukraine due to the battle and war between Russia and Ukraine. So the Ukraine-Russian war clearly was a time-sensitive thing that we needed to move hundreds of thousands of people into homes, so there wasn't time necessarily to go through these competitive procurement processes. This was a very special circumstance in my personal opinion. Also, I would like to say that really no other company holds a candle to Palantir's platforms. So even if we did go through the processes and the monotony of going through all of these other companies, Palantir was going to win anyway. You should also know that Palantir first provided the government with an information technology system to support the Homes for Ukraine initiative at no cost for 6 months. And then after that, Palantir was awarded a 1-year contract that was worth £4.5 million, or roughly $5.49 million. And if we look further into the watchdog group report from the NAO, they said that some users found Palantir software difficult to maneuver. Again, this is a useless criticism. Who cares? It does its job. I'm sorry that your people aren't educated enough or skilled enough to properly use Palantir software, and on top of that, you know that you have access to Palantir engineers and courses that help you maneuver their software, so there's no excuse for this. Luckily, the UK government decided to keep using Palantir software for their Homes in Ukraine initiative to help out these over 100,000 refugees, and I think that was the correct decision. This needed to be done quickly so these people could be helped, and again, Palantir was going to be the clear winner anyway. So the only reason why this watchdog group recently came out with another report about this was to try to stop Palantir from winning their larger UK NHS contract, which is worth around $570 million or more. That's why they are complaining about a past contract, and for me personally, I do believe as long as politics and these watchdog groups don't get in the way, Palantir will obtain that NHS contract, which would be a gigantic win, thus catapulting potentially Palantir's current share price up to $20 temporarily. Palantir even made a comment about this recent report by saying that the urgency of the situation meant that time was of the essence. In the end, politics and watchdog groups are just trying to prevent Palantir from winning contracts because clearly they are better than anything that the United Kingdom can offer right now. And if you really want to help people, you should use Palantir's technology on top of Palantir also setting up a hub over in Europe in the United Kingdom. And that's another reason why I believe that they are going to win this larger NHS contract for around $570 million. And this is also why these people are complaining about a previous contract, because they're trying to stop this newer contract due to quote-unquote unfair business practices or government favoritism. Who cares? If Palantir is the best, then you should go with the best. That's how, honestly, open competition works in a free market environment. So I would love to hear your thoughts about that and why you think these watchdog groups and politicians are trying to pull up old news about Palantir to point out the UK government's favoritism to try to prevent Palantir from winning this much larger contract in the future. But now let's talk about some even better news pertaining to Palantir's share price and where their stock price could be in the next 5 years. It has been over 3 years since Palantir Technologies first made their debut on the public stock market, and we've been reporting on this company for well over 2 of those years. Currently, Palantir's PLTR stock, if you bought when they went public, you would be up around 83% if you listen to me, even though the company's share price has been extremely volatile, which I've also highlighted multiple times. This is why I encourage people to look a closer look at Palantir's business to see whether or not this technology stock can sustain their current momentum over the long term, and that's why we're going to be discussing where their share price could be over the next 5 years. Currently, their share price is $17.74, while the very bullish analysts believe it could surge up to $25 over the next 12 months. But what about the next 48 months? Or the next 3 years? Or 4 years? Or specifically the next 5 years? Well, luckily, that's exactly what we're going to be dissecting in this article. It's no surprise to investors that Palantir's artificial intelligence capabilities and their impressive prowess in machine learning has led to their stock's impressive surge this year in their overall share price. And it's worth noting that the company's business is already in a very healthy shape apart from this artificial intelligence and AI momentum that they have been experiencing. For instance, Palantir's revenue in the first 6 months of 2023, meaning the first half, is 15% on a CAGR basis, or a compounding annual growth rate, which is very good, meaning that they are on track to achieving their financial goals. But I would like to point out that this 15% CAGR for the revenue, which is rather positive, is going to increase to 16% during the second half of the year, to where they could finish the year bringing in a total of $2.21 billion worth of revenue. But it gets even better. Like we've talked about previously, this 16% is going to surge up to 19% for the year of 2024. And on top of that, analysts are anticipating that the company's earnings could almost quadruple in 2023 from 6 cents per share all the way up to 23 cents per share, which is a huge increase. And I honestly think it could be even more impressive than that. So remember, in the first half of 2023, they achieved a 15% CAGR, which is going to increase to 16% during the second half, which then will lead to a 19% CAGR in 2024, but it's going to get even better. Thanks to the existing customers within Palantir's ecosystem, it's evident that their current customers are not only extending their current contracts, but also willing to spend more money on Palantir's overall platforms, which is why Palantir's net dollar retention rate is 110%, because not only are they attracting new customers, but their current customers and existing customers are doubling down and spending more money on Palantir's products because of how useful they are, and this is fantastic to see. Not only is that taking place, but we also know that Palantir's total addressable market has been expanded. Palantir's estimated total addressable market, also known as their TAM, was around $119 billion for big data and analytics. However, since artificial intelligence catalysts have been introduced, we know that prominent analysts such as Daniel Ives from Wedbush Securities now estimates Palantir's AI-driven total addressable market, or TAM, to be a whopping $800 billion. So literally, they have increased their overall total addressable market by a very large amount, which is going to reflect in their overall share price. And that's why Dan Ives believes the company's share price could surge from around $17 up to $25 in the next 12 months. And that's why Palantir is expected to maintain their current momentum and growth rate. But remember, in the first half of the year, they had a 15% CAGR. In the second half of the year, it's going to be 16%. For the year of 2024, it's supposed to jump to 19%. 19%, but it gets even better because Daniel Ives estimates that Palantir could eventually achieve $5 billion worth of revenue by 2027, which would indicate a top-of-the-line revenue CAGR or compounding annual growth rate of 22% over the next 4 years on average. So not only are we jumping from 15% in the first half of 2023 to 16% in the second half of 2023, and then up to 19% for 2024, we're anticipated to reach 22% or over that amount in 2025, all the way until 2027. This is absolutely phenomenal growth, and artificial intelligence is going to play a major role in this overall acceleration. And we've already seen some of this happen because Palantir has won multiple AI-related contracts recently, and I really hope they win that NHS contract, which we have talked about in previous videos. In the end, this indicates that Palantir could indeed hit $5 billion in their overall revenue by 2027. This article makes a mistake. They say by 2025. That's not what they mean. That's clearly a typo because up here they say 2027. So don't pay attention to that, and this is why you need to do your own research. However, what's even more impressive than their amazing revenue acceleration is their earnings. Their bottom line, or earnings, also known as EPS, should grow at a CAGR or compounding annual growth rate of 82% on average over the next 5 years. And let me tell you, that is absolutely astonishing. That's why investors need to get into this company early, which is why I've been advocating to buy this company even before they were profitable. I predicted they would become profitable. I'm predicting that they're going to be added to the S&P 500. I'm predicting that they're going to win the NHS contract. And so far, my predictions have been very accurate. But after all, I am not infallible. I make mistakes as well. But regardless if those things happen or not, we know that these projections are very fundamentally solid based on their financials and business model. Lastly, let's talk about price targets. If their earnings do jump to $1.20 in 2027, we could be looking at a share price of $48 or higher, which would equate to a 180% increase from current levels, which again is a huge payday. You are literally more than doubling your money in 5 years. And if that doesn't sound impressive to you, then you probably haven't been in the stock market for a while. This is absolutely insane growth. So for those long-term investors who are willing to bite the bullet in the short term and you're willing to hold this company until 2027, this company could be phenomenal. But now let's zoom in to today and why November could be a huge month for Palantir stock, potentially surging up to $20. There are multiple catalysts that are coming up very soon, and we're going to take a deep dive into each of these. I've already mentioned the NHS contract, and I have a lot of videos on that, so if you're curious about that huge catalyst, feel free to look up those videos. But right now, let's focus on their upcoming earnings report, which will be on November 2nd, where Palantir will unveil their third quarter numbers for 2023, and I think this should get investors very excited because they're anticipated to outperform on both their revenue as well as their overall earnings. And specifically in their earnings, that is what we're going to want to pay attention to because their earnings are supposed to surge between 400 and 500%, which is astonishing. But even if Palantir underperforms in their revenue as well as their earnings per share, what investors are going to get really excited about is their future forecasts. So if they forecast strong demand going forward, that is also going to act as a very positive catalyst for their overall share price. And we anticipate these positive results due to an increase in demand because, I quote, their management said that demand for AIP is unlike anything we've ever seen in the past 20 years. So this is going to be very good. And for me personally, I don't think this demand is going to be directly seen in this earnings report, but it most certainly will be realized in their fourth quarter earnings results. So even if they miss on their revenues and earnings, we know that their future forecasts for their demand is extremely strong, and that's what should get investors excited, especially if you are a long-term investor, which is exactly what I am. So their guidance, momentum, and forecasts should grab the attention of investors, especially if we look at their earnings performance, which is guided to have very impressive growth. This is an apparent sign that the company is trending in the right direction, and as we see artificial intelligence increasing in popularity and multiple geopolitical issues around the world happening, which is raising alarm bells for various countries, this just makes Palantir Technologies' overall platforms more valuable, which we could see a larger increase in demand, because remember, During volatile times of war and geopolitical tensions, this is when Palantir actually starts to shine. So again, please keep an eye out for that November 2nd earnings report, and of course, I'm going to be doing an analysis video on that day, so we can go over their earnings report and projections to see if these predictions are correct. Lastly, let's talk about Palantir's inclusion in the S&P 500. This is a huge development to watch, because if Palantir remains profitable in this upcoming earnings report on November 2nd, they will be eligible for inclusion inside the S&P 500. Right now, they have 3 straight periods of profits, and if they have a 4th one, that is going to allow them to be included in the S&P 500, considering that they meet all of the other criteria for S&P 500 inclusion. The question then would become, how quickly can the S&P add Palantir stock? And to me, it's likely not a matter of if they will be included, but when they will be included to this massive index. And this is going to cause a lot of money to flood into Palantir Technologies for other investors who buy index funds, such as myself. If you're looking for a fantastic long-term stable investment, I would highly encourage you to look into ticker symbol VOO, ticker symbol SPY, or even ticker symbol VTI. And my favorites would be VOO, which is an S&P 500 index, or VTI, which is a broad stock market fund, but either one is very good. And if Palantir gets added to the S&P 500, when people purchase index funds such as SPY or VOO, that means a little bit of that money is going to be invested into Palantir stock, which should increase their overall share price. So now that we know the business is very profitable, that they are growing their profits and revenues, and their future forecasts are amazing, on top of inclusion in the S&P 500, on top of the fact that they are going to have an amazing earnings report on November 2nd, and they could potentially win this huge mega contract with the NHS, these are all phenomenal developments and catalysts coming forward for Palantir stock. Again, let me reiterate that this is an excellent stock to hold for the long term, but if you are a short-term investor, then this company may not be the one for you. But either way, I would always recommend for you to do your own research to make sure that it aligns with your risk management policies, your portfolio, and please don't be dumb and over-allocate more than 5% portfolio allocation to any singular risky growth company, because that would be improper risk management and you would be taking on the risk of unnecessary losses. But with that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts down below about Palantir Technologies PLTR stock and which of these catalysts you are most excited about. Don't forget to comment down below your personal price targets and predictions. Subscribe if you are new. Don't forget to become a member of this channel for as little as 99 cents to support me personally so I can keep making videos like this one. But if not, by subscribing, you're going to get this content for absolutely free. And with that being said, I wish you the best of luck and I will see you in the next YT video.